Today we're making a California classic, a delicious grilled tri-tip. I only found out about tri-tips a couple years ago after I started my Instagram page. It's a very popular cut out on the West Coast, especially in California, where they cook it on the Santa Maria grills directly over hardwoods. And when cooked right, it is absolutely delicious. And now it's starting to gain popularity across the country, and it's much easier to find. It gets its name from the shape. It looks like a big triangle, nice beefy cut of meat. This guy is about 3 pounds, and this one is already pretty well trimmed up. Sometimes when you buy them, they have a pretty thick fat cap. I like to leave some of the fat on. It just adds additional flavor, but trim it down a little bit so it's not too thick. This one looks pretty nice to me. No trimming needed. Get a little fat on both sides. One thing that's different about a tri-tip is the direction of the grain, and this is going to be important after it's cooked and before we slice it. So it's basically split down the middle. This side, the grain goes in this direction, and on this side, it goes in this direction. So after it's cooked, I'll show you guys exactly how to cut it for maximum tenderness and the best results. As far as availability goes, I bought this guy from Wild Fork Foods. It's not a sponsored video. It's kind of my go-to store for these more unique cuts. You can also order directly from their website if you don't have a local store, and they'll ship it to you frozen. Quality is great, prices are right, so check them out if you're looking for a tri-tip. Let's get this guy prepped up and on the grill. As far as the seasoning goes, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm just going to hit it a little bit with olive oil. This is going to act as my binder, which will allow the seasoning to stick better, and just go on both sides. You don't need a lot, just a thin layer. There we go. And I'm gonna season it with my all-purpose rub. It's the perfect mix of salt, pepper, garlic, spices, and it should work awesome on this tri-tip. So go with a nice even coat on both sides, and then just pat that in, shake off any excess, and repeat on the other side. Make sure to get the edges as well, this side. All right, so that is looking pretty good. Season on all sides, smelling great already. Now I'm gonna let this thing hang out at room temperature for about 20-25 minutes. It's gonna start to sweat out. That seasoning is gonna start to get absorbed into the meat, and then it's gonna be ready for the grill. For this cook, I'm gonna be using my large Big Green Egg. I've got it preheated to about 300 degrees or so, and I have it set up for dual zone grilling, meaning half of the side is set for indirect and the other half for direct. And that is possible by using this expander accessory. So as you can see, the charcoal is nice and hot on this side, and this is the cool side. So this is where I'm gonna start my tri-tip, which by the way looks nice and wet on the outside. It's been sitting for about 20 minutes. I'm just gonna place it down right here directly on the grates. Again, on the indirect side, close the lid, and we'll let it cook. And as far as the cooking method goes, I'm gonna leave it on that indirect side at that 300 degrees grill temperature until it hits about 120 internal. Then I'm gonna pull it off and move it to the direct heat side to get that nice sear on the outside. And you can follow the same process on whatever grill or cooker you're using at your house, gas grill, pellet cooker. Follow the same temperatures, the same steps, and it's going to come out delicious. Tri-tip is on and cooking away. So now I'm going to make my chimichurri. This is my go-to recipe for this chimi. I've made it 100 times before. It's in a bunch of my other videos, and it's absolutely perfect on beef, steaks. We've done it with chicken and pork, so it's super versatile, and you can add other ingredients to kind of make it your own, but I keep it pretty simple and it comes out perfect every single time. I'm gonna start with my cilantro and parsley first. So I like to do about a 50-50 mix of each. You can do just straight parsley if you don't like cilantro, and just kind of cut off the tops here. So that should be enough. And again, about a 50-50 mix of parsley to cilantro. Make sure to wash it first so it's nice and clean. And then I just chop it all up by hand. You can put this into a food processor, but just be careful so it doesn't come up too pasty or too mushy. I like to have a little bit more texture to the parsley and cilantro in my chimi. That's why I like doing it all by hand. And this is kind of what you're going for. Nice rough chop, nice even pieces. So I'm gonna put all this into my bowl. Next up, I'm gonna prep my garlic. So I'm gonna go with about 4 or 5 cloves. So we'll smash this down. I've done this with the jarlic stuff, so the jarred garlic comes out okay too. If you've got fresh, do it this way. So again, about 4 or 5 bigger cloves. Smash it down, makes it a little bit easier to peel. And just like the parsley and cilantro, give it a chop. Add the garlic to our bowl. Next up, I'm gonna go with some kosher salt. So about a teaspoon or so. Crushed red pepper for just a little heat. You can adjust this to your liking depending how spicy you like your chimichurri. Next, I've got some red wine vinegar. It's gonna add that nice tanginess. And finally, we'll go with olive oil, about a quarter cup. Get everything submerged, and now we'll mix everything up. Ooh, check this out. It is looking nice. The most important thing whenever you make chimichurri, just kind of taste as you go. So try it out, see if it's, if it needs any salt, anything else. Wow, it's fresh, tangy. You get the garlic, the red wine vinegar. This is perfect. You can also prep this the night before and just let it sit in your fridge, let all those flavors marinate. But yeah, this is perfect and it's going to be awesome on our tri-tip. All right, tri-tip hit about 120, 125 internal. So I'm gonna pull this guy off. Ooh, look at that. It is looking super juicy. This is pretty much ready to go, but I'm gonna sear the outside to create that nice crust and build that flavor a little bit more. So I'm gonna bring this inside, let this rest for about 10-15 minutes. And I'm gonna leave the lid open to my Big Green egg so this fire can build up a little bit more on the direct heat side. Then I'll bring this back, sear it off, and then it's gonna be ready to go. So it's been about 10 minutes or so, and check this tri-tip out. This thing is just packed full of juice that's been coming out of it. So this thing is going to be delicious. Grill is cruising right around 500, 550. So it is ready for searing. Ooh, look at that. These coals are super hot. We'll go with the tri-tip right on the grate. Ooh, look at that. And I'm just gonna go about 2 minutes or so per side. Again, this tri-tip is fully cooked, so I'm just going for that sear on the outside to create that crust, that flavor. As I said before, you can make this on any cooker at your house, on a gas grill, pellet smoker, really anything, even in your oven, but cooking it over charcoal, that's what makes it so special and super delicious. Let's give this guy a flip. Ooh, look at that. Those little bits of fat that were left on the outside are getting crispy, charred up a little bit. Smells so amazing, searing over these coals. Okay, let's take a look. Crispy, charred up fat, beautiful crust. Sear the edges a little bit too. This tri-tip is going to be perfect. All right, tri-tip is done, rested. It is smelling and looking absolutely amazing. Here, check this thing out. Get this awesome crust on it. It is super juicy, feels super tender. Ooh. All right, so let's slice into it. So let me show you guys exactly how to slice a tri-tip so it comes out very tender. So as I mentioned, half of the grain on one side goes in one direction and the other half goes in a different. I like to slice it right down the middle. Okay, so let's see how we did here. Ooh, wow, look at that. Nice, medium rare finish, super even, edge to edge. Let's start with this piece here. So again, the grain direction is this way. So we're going to slice it across the grain for maximum tenderness. And anytime I slice my tri-tip, I do it fairly thinly. Whew. And this thing is so tender. Perfect color inside. Here, let's take a look at this piece here. Nice and tender. You can see the crust, and check this out. It just pulls right apart. Let's just go for a bite without the chimichurri, so just the grilled tri-tip. So good. Nice and beefy flavor, great mouthfeel. One of the great things about the tri-tip is that it has a really good texture to it. It doesn't just kind of fall apart in your mouth like some other steaks. It is just so flavorful. The other great part about cooking a tri-tip is that the center part is much thicker than the outside edges. So if you're cooking for a group or maybe somebody likes theirs a little bit more done than some other people, you can serve them the outside pieces, which will be a little bit more on the medium side, whereas the inside fatter pieces will be more medium rare. So it's a perfect for feeding a crowd. Last part is to add our chimichurri. So I like to just drizzle some right on top on our slices. Look at that. Pairs super well with this tri-tip. It also looks awesome. Give it a nice pop of color. Look at that. Fresh, herby, garlicky, tangy. Absolutely perfect. All right, let's try our delicious tri-tip out. Got a nice piece with some chimi on top. Ooh, wow. That is so good. That chimi pairs so well with this beefy tri-tip. It's fresh, herby, fragrant. You get the garlic, the tanginess from that red wine vinegar, Beef is super tender. Anytime you want to add some extra flavor to your steaks, roast, beef, really anything, adding the chimichurri is a pro move because it takes it up a notch and it tastes so good with pretty much anything you put it on. And just scoop out a little bit more. Here, check this out. It looks so good. Let's give a piece to Jax, my #1 taste tester. There you go, buddy. What do you think? Yeah, I don't think he even chewed that. That just, he just wolfed that down. It's good, right? Anyways, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what I'm doing, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to get all the notifications, leave a comment, and I will see you next time. Here, let me get you one more piece. Ready? One more? Oh, yeah. So good.